I need y'all to run these lights up for me real quick. Because, y'all, I struggled through this. I struggled through this. Because it's insane how much of a liar she is. It's insane how easy it is for her to lie. It's insane how easy it is for her to not take accountability for when she's wrong. She's dangerous. And when I say she's dangerous, like I said on my community post, that is why I got on here every single day the last 2 weeks when she started to turn that mess onto Shelly and Alandria and made it a point to state, black content creators, be careful with what you state when it comes to these women. Be careful with the rhetoric that you use because people like Huda, they know what they're doing. They know what their agenda is. And the minute they get somebody like us that is black on their side and then perpetuating the bullshit that they want to have portrayed in reference to black women and black men, you know what is going to happen. You're going to ignite racist people that have been waiting for the moment. Because once they see a black person doing it, they're going to be like, oh, well, they're okay with it. So let's really jump on it now. And you see what happened. You see what happened with Shelly. You see what happened with Alandria. You see what happened with Ace. You see what happened with Chris. It's just interesting how all of this stuff happens. And then now those people that were out here perpetuating that bullshit are now trying to backtrack. No, stay on that side. If you a tap dancer, stay on that side. If you new to me, you don't know. But if you're not new to me, you know. I don't play about that coonery. I don't play about that. I'm very pro-black. If you're uncomfortable with me being pro-black and you're not black, or if you are black, that's something you got to work out within yourself. Because if you're that upset with me being 100% in agreement and being proud to represent my people and make sure to protect my people when we're not protected, that's an issue you need to have with yourself. And that's a conversation you need to have with yourself. But please, y'all, thumbs up this video because I got a lot of notes. I'm going to get through it. So make sure y'all thumbs it up. Blow the thumbs up on here. Get down here in the comments. Share the video. Subscribe. Y'all know we on the road to 15K. Contribute to that if you are new here. Yeah, I'm about to get this over with right now. Let's go. All right, so the podcast is called Call Me Daddy. Or Call Her Daddy. Let's call her dangerous. But the host, she also is dangerous too, honestly. But because she had moments where she was holding her account, trying to hold her, at least lead her into holding herself accountable. But also she still kind of like gave her a false sense of hope and false sense of self, honestly, instead of really holding her accountable. But we'll get to it. But the host, she ends up starting it off talking about how she feels about her being polarizing. And she claims that she tries to play the pay the hate, no mind, because they don't know her. And I'm like, criticism is not all hate. That's the whole thing with Huda. You got to realize a lot of what is being stated in reference to you is not hate. It's called constructive criticism. You as a professional victim, you see it as hate. You think everything you do is right and cannot be told anything different. So then you turn it into hate. And then people like the host and people like the people that support you, they see it as such too, because they're in that state of mind where they feel like you can't be told anything different, but are so quick to point fingers at other people. But the host then asked her like about the comments and what comments have been most negatively shocking to her. And then she brings up the CPS comment about her baby daddy and pretty much talking about how her and her baby daddy are good. He was well aware of what she was doing going on the show and yada, yada, yada. But she then talks about how she's had her daughter and has her daughter 24/7. So the CPS shit doesn't make any sense. Calling CPS on her period, I don't think that's necessary. Do I believe it's true? I don't know. When it comes to the hood rats, I don't believe anything that they state. But she then starts talking about how her 4-year-old this right here blew me. Talks about how she has conversations with her 4-year-old daughter about her daughter liking boys. Your daughter is 4. Why are you even having conversations with your daughter about a 4-year-old about boys? Something about that just did not sit right with me. Y'all tell me if I'm tripping, but that was crazy. But then we moved to her childhood. We find out that her parents are immigrants. She's got 4 other siblings, so 5 kids in total. She claims that they were not really privileged growing up. Sounds like they had it rough. And she talks about her dad being abusive to her mother as well to her and her siblings, which, I mean, I hate hearing that. she starts talking about how she witnessed the DV with her mom watching him beating on her. And she starts crying, obviously. But she didn't ask if they put any of her background on the show. And of course, the host is like, no, like we didn't see it because did you even talk about it? Like, let's keep it real. I don't even think she talked about it, even though she's gonna sit there and say, "Oh, well, they just didn't put it on there." I don't see her talking about stuff like that. Like, I just don't see it. Huda is so she just God, it's hard. It's hard. I don't believe she talked about her upbringing, and the reason why I state that is because how it took her so long to talk about her daughter to Jeremiah. And then just with the people, with the other guys as well, and the other people that she eventually ended up telling, she only brought her daughter up when she was trying to manipulate somebody. So what makes you think she would talk about these instances in her life without an end goal, like without a motivational tactic as to why she's doing it? It's not like she would just talk to these people about this type of stuff. So I feel like that's bullshit too. But she then talks about how she's the youngest in an abusive household and it made her persuasive, which I was stating the real word is manipulative. Like, you've gotten used to being able to victimize yourself. Granted, in this situation, I don't doubt that she is a victim, but that in turn turned her into a professional victim, which she then carried on into her adult life. But she said that she hasn't spoken to her dad for about 8 years. She states that there's a valid reason as to why. She kind of insinuates something of which I'm not going to talk about because I don't know it for sure, but we all knew what she was putting down. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know if it's true or not, but regardless, she is a victim in the situation. I'm not going to doubt her in regards to that. But she starts crying again, obviously. She talks about where she had gotten scared at one point, called her mom, tried to get her mom to come pick her up. Apparently, her mom worked so many jobs, it seemingly seemed like she didn't and wasn't able to come get her when it came to her dad. So that's unfortunate. But we then move to school life. She starts talking about how she was always bullied, and she thinks that it's because she's unapologetically herself. And she feels like that didn't resonate. Okay, Huda. It's just like a common thread with her is always being a victim. And when you have somebody like that all the time, you have to really pay attention to that person. You have to realize being around that person, even when they do you wrong, they're always going to find a way to make themselves the victim, which could then go into dangerous territory, which we're going to get to later on. But she then states that she tries to conflate that to her experience on the show, which you were not bullied on the show. Like, you were not. I don't care what her fans state. I don't care what any of these coons state. I don't care what anybody out here states. That girl was not bullied on the show. The one time those women, and I'm talking about, it's really Shelly. Shelly was the only one that truly held her accountable. The one time she held her accountable, which is what everybody online was stating prior to that. Y'all forget that. We all were online talking about, God, I wish somebody would finally tell her about herself. So Shelly does it in the most graceful way. She didn't raise her voice at her. She literally told her without stuttering, which a lot of y'all can't stand seeing a black woman that actually knows how to articulate herself without screaming, without yelling, without doing what y'all deem to be ghetto, which y'all still found a way to turn it into her being ratchet and ghetto and spewing y'all's racist rhetoric. It's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me. But Shelly did nothing wrong. Shelly told her the truth about herself, as did Alandria. Even though Alandria mentioned what she mentioned in the moment in regards to a business that wasn't hers, she still wasn't wrong. She still wasn't wrong. But she tries to conflate that to her experience in the villa. She then stated that she wanted to take her life at one point in middle school, which is sad to hear. I'm never in support of that, no matter how much I dislike somebody. Your life is too valuable for that, especially she was in middle school. She didn't have her daughter at that point. But regardless, if you, and I'm speaking to anybody that's listening, if you ever have those thoughts, go seek help. And when I tell you there's these hotlines, I wanted to say the word, but I'm not trying to get blocked by YouTube. Google it. You can literally find somebody to talk to that can help you figure out ways to avoid doing that because your life is too precious for that. But she then stated that there were 2 to 3 girls that she was friends with in middle school that apparently were bullying her, claiming that she wasn't pretty enough because one of the girls was apparently a model or whatever, and she wanted to model. And she claims that the girl knew that she wanted to model. She wanted to be on America's Next Top Model, and she told her that, oh, you're too short, you're not pretty enough, da 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 da, stating that she was getting harassed and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, Huda, okay. But she then states that it carried over into high school And she states that once she started getting a following from her singing videos, people told her that she was full of herself and she was cocky. I mean, look at how you are now. I don't doubt that that's how you were then. But she then claims that she has a unique sense of humor. Huda is not funny to me. Like, what humor is she talking about? The fact that she's one of those ones that makes blunt humor. Because I'm blunt. I think I have dry humor. That's the whole thing. My humor is dry. I'm not mean. I'm not mean-spirited. That you could tell she comes off with just a nasty energy to her, and that's not humor. Like, that's just, you're trying to mask it as such. But she starts talking about how she didn't think a certain group of girls was funny at school or whatever, and she sat there and told them, I don't think y'all are funny, and I don't want to be friends with y'all, and get up and walk away. But you sit there and wonder why people don't like you. Like, doing stuff like that is weird. And then she claims that she felt like she was always left out, but then you're in a group of people where you're seemingly included, and you sit there and take it upon yourself to tell them that you don't think that they're funny, and you want to get up and walk away and not be friends with them. And it sounded like it was unprovoked, and it was just like, but you claimed that you felt left out. But we did move to the baby daddy. They apparently met on Tinder. She was 18 years old when she first met him. She liked him really fast, which we all know that could be true as we see how she acts. But she says that she can't lie. Like, I can't lie when I like somebody. I'm just not the type of person that can lie. And she sat here and lied the entire interview. But she then states that he cheated on her, and she found out when she was pregnant that he had cheated on her then. And that was when she was in Puerto Rico with her sister. But she talks about how she had his location because he had cheated on her so many times, and she was checking his location the whole time she was in Puerto Rico. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, yes, she was 18 years old, but that is just a pattern of toxicity within Huda, that you will sit there and continue to take a man back that always cheats on you. So that right there tells you, again, she does not love herself. What have I told y'all all season? She does not love herself. Somebody that loves herself will know that you deserve better than that, to allow a man to continue to cheat on you. Because once he does it once and you take him back, he's going to continue to do it again. And as you see, he continued to do it over and over and over and over and over again because he knew that you would always take him back. That's why you always fell into that situation. But she talks about the sharing like getting his location and stuff, which is crazy because it's trust issues. But she then claims that she doesn't do that anymore, which is bullshit and a lie. As we all know, she did it on the damn show when she was sitting there laying in the bed asking Jeremiah, I mean, even though we're not boyfriend and girlfriend right now, would you share your location with me? And that's when I told you if I was Jeremiah, I would have stopped talking to her immediately that day. Because that right there is a red flag. You don't even know me, first of all. We've only known each other probably at that time 1 week. We're not even together, so what would you need my location for? Not only that, we're literally in the same place right now, stuck in this house for 3 to 4 more weeks. Why would you need my location right now? And then not only that, when I leave out of the show, you don't need my location. Like, you don't need that. Like, you don't need that. That's crazy, especially when we're not boyfriend or girlfriend. Like, that's wild to me, and there's a lot of red flags. But she then claims that. She then talks about how her and her boyfriend, her and her baby daddy were on and off again during her pregnancy the whole time that she was pregnant, and he was still cheating on her. Yeah, like I just said, once you allow it to happen once and take him back, he's going to keep doing it. But she then talks about how he was active, though, and at least seemingly he's an active dad, but a lot of the hardships were apparently on her. But she states that they just weren't going to work out romantically because he wasn't good with his finances. They were always late on bills, and all of that shit eventually fell onto her, and she stated that she wanted better for herself, which is why she decided to end it with him, and she wasn't going to settle. Okay. So we then moved to Love Island, the Love Island experience. Like, what led her to doing it? She says she always wanted to be on the show, and she always dreamed of being on Love Island. Keep that in mind. She said, I always dreamed of being on Love Island, which means you know what Love Island is, which means you know what the experience is, what it entails, who's coming in for what reason. Keep that in mind. But she then claims that she applied because this dude that she was seeing apparently had gotten reached out to. And she claims that he was throwing it in her face because he knew that she wanted to be on the show. It's always, y'all see the pattern with Huda. When somebody else has something, she always has to have it. She always wants to do it. And that's what she stated. She was like, him rubbing it in my face made me want to get it because he had it. So she talks about how she manifested it. She talks about how she wanted to be an OG. She went through all the interviews and whatever. And she claims that they pretty much told her that when she flew out to Fiji that first time, that she was going to be cast on the show and she was going to be a main OG. And she claims that she had a lot of luck on the show with how long she stayed on the show. I said, yeah, a lot of producer manipulation, a lot of your hood rats with their mass following, as well your fellow islanders who are stupid for allowing you to be on that show. Like, they should have kicked you off the first chance they got. But Jeremiah, we moved to talking about him. So she claims essentially the first day that they met, they were about to hug or whatever, and he kind of like pulled her back whenever she kind of released from the hug, he kind of like pulled her back in. That's what she claims is what made her stick with him. Then she starts talking about how he was love bombing her. Y'all, this love bombing shit, I feel like she misuses what the term love bombing truly is. And it's crazy because it's like you were the one love bombing him more so than him doing you. Like, she claims that he would fake, I like you. But you the one that literally was on the first day telling that man that you loved him. Like, purposely doing that shit. And you did it repeatedly. That is love bombing, if you asking me. But she then says, like, the first 24 hours, they were lovey-dovey, blowing kisses, trying to sneak kisses with each other whenever they were not filming. And she said it was very physical, which, again, that's lust. That's what it is. And not only that, when you first meet somebody, being super intimate with them like that, you as the woman, you take that risk when you're dealing with a man. Like I told y'all all the time, a man is not going to turn down some free you-know-what. Like, let's keep it all the way real. One that's a straight man is not going to turn down some free you-know-what. Like, let's keep it real, especially if they really want that. The one that's gonna, and then when I state that, you can do that and they're going to take it. But the one that really wants to be serious with you is going to appreciate the woman that's going to make him chase it. Like with Nick with Alandria. As he stated on day one, he likes the chase. And you can conflate it back to Sierra. Sierra didn't make him chase her. Whereas Alandria made him chase her in a certain instance. She didn't make him chase her, but in a way she did. Because first of all, she didn't know that he really liked her like that. But that alone is what made Nick want to pursue. Which, as you see, that's why he continued to pursue her, because it was easier for him. Well, it wasn't easier for him. It was harder for him to get her, which then makes it more valuable. Whereas the same thing I would state with Ace to a certain extent. With Chris to a certain extent. How they all were pursuing Shelly. Shelly was not giving up the cooch. Landry was not giving up the cooch. Sierra gave up the cooch. Sierra's at home single. Huda gave up the cooch. Huda is at home single. You see the trend? When you keep the prized possession locked up and make the man work for it, you might actually get a relationship. Because when you allow the man to put in the work, you will then see how much he really wants you. Because once you give up the cookies, I can leave now because I got what I wanted. So it's like, how you gonna be mad at Jeremiah for that when you the one that did that shit? And then you did the same thing with Chris, but we'll get to it. So the host then asked her about the mom situation. Like, why did you not lead with telling him that you were a mom? And she states that people don't see her as Huda. They see her as a mom, and says that this is a way that they could get to know her first and then go from there. Huda, you being a mom is a part of who Huda is. So you not talking about that, you're not being truly yourself. So me personally, I respect, if I was Jeremiah in the situation and she went 3-4 days without telling me that she was a mom, you would have done more damage doing that than you would have telling me from the first day that you were a mom. Because that alone tells me you're being forthcoming with me. You're being honest with me, which lets me know that you're trying to instill trust. Whenever you lie and withhold information, you show me that you don't trust me. So why would I want to continue to build with somebody who is withholding information from me, which then makes me literally sit here and rethink everything that you told me. And now I'm questioning everything that you stated, which doesn't build trust, which then builds a toxic foundation because I already think you're a liar. I'm sitting here questioning everything that you're doing. So whenever you go and do that, it makes it harder for somebody to truly look at you as somebody that you want to be serious with. And my parents in the comments, y'all let me know if I'm off base. Let me know how y'all would have handled that situation. If I had kids, I would lead with that. Because it's a respect thing too. You allow that person to know everything that comes with you to see how they want to proceed. And not only that, I feel like I would want, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, I would want somebody to know I got kids, because, and I would want them to know straight off the gate, because if you know that and you still proceed to want to get to know me, that shows me that you are probably the right person to actually be talking to. If I tell you that and you have apprehension, that's not the person for me. So Huda got everything all wrong, which is why I stated she needed to go home and fix herself first. So she then states that when she realized that he really liked her like that, that's when she felt like it was right to tell him, but she was scared to tell him because she really liked him and she didn't want him to freak out, essentially. And she said that she had told him, you can leave me. If you don't want to be with me because I got kids, you can leave me. And she then stated that she then said that she brought it up when he was switching. I don't know what I wrote. Hold on. She then stated that once she brought it up to him, he started switching up and acting different, talking about something, well, I can make my own decisions, da. And this was like, no. And I'm like, maybe to a certain extent it looks like that, but you were literally treating him as if he was your child, which is why he stated, yeah, I can make my own decisions. You sitting here telling him you need to eat your own food. You need to eat all of your food because you're a grown man. That is something that somebody who has a son would tell their son. You don't tell a grown man that he needs to eat all his food. If he don't want to eat all that food, he don't have to fucking eat it. Like, worry about, like, that's the shit with Huda that Huda don't be understanding. But she then thinks that they both have faults in their relationship, because the host ended up asking, like, who do you feel both of y'all had an issue in? And she feels like we both had faults in the relationship, and I feel like nobody should fully take the blame for it. That is a lie. And I'm going to tell y'all this right now. And those, my feminists, y'all probably going to be like, why are you stating that? Yes, both of them had faults, but who had the majority? And it's not even close in terms of the majority. Huda had about 90% of the toxic traits in their relationship. Jeremiah had about 10 to 15. So if you want to put it 85-15, we can do that. Because Jeremiah's main toxic trait is the fact that he allowed that shit to go on. In my opinion, to a certain degree, I do feel like he liked it just a little bit, but he then realized this is not what I need. Huda was verbally abusive. We're going to call it what it is, because the host didn't want to call it what it was, but we'll get to it. But she was verbally abusive. She was very clingy. She was very contradictory. She was very hypocritical. I could go on and on and on. She's a liar. She withheld information. Like, there's a lot of things that Huda did that led to that relationship being a toxic relationship that would never work. But she then states that she likes a man that is physically affectionate with her, does thoughtful things to make her happy. And Alex then asked, like, what were the red flags that you feel like you might have missed with Jeremiah? She then states that she, when they were having conversations with other people, she would catch him looking at other people whenever she was having conversations and whatever. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Because you was the main one that anytime he had conversations the first 2 days, when Sierra came in there, I vividly remember it. Sierra came in there and was talking to every single dude in there. She sat down and talked to Jeremiah, who was not interested in her. Their conversation was Jeremiah looking straight ahead, not even looking at her, barely engaging with her, giving short answers, but you still got your ass up and walked in front of him. So what are you talking about? So the stuff that you're claiming that he's toxic for, you're toxic for. You're toxic for. Because everything that she tried to point on to Jeremiah was stuff that she did. I don't know if y'all was clocking it, but it was stuff that she did. It's like she's not right all the way upstairs. Like that, when she does stuff like this, it makes you question certain things that she states. She also then mentions how when Jeremiah knew that Pepe was not interested in her, he befriended her. I said, kind of like how you did with Amaya and Iris and Sierra. Whenever they told you that they were no longer interested in Jeremiah, you no longer was calling them all types of bitches and hoes and da-da-da-da-da. You was out there calling these girls out of their names whenever they came in and were showing interest in Jeremiah. But the minute they stopped pursuing him was when you then decided that you wanted to be friends with him. So you stating this is an issue with Jeremiah, but you don't see it an issue with yourself. You don't see it as an issue within yourself. That's why I don't fool with her. She contradicts herself every single time. She's the biggest hypocrite ever. But she then claims that it wasn't fair and she never had a real shot with any of the guys. You never had a real shot because of you. They saw how you acted with Jeremiah. Like that's the whole point. You stopped yourself from being able to connect with those guys and even have an opportunity because you clung to Jeremiah. The way you was acting with Jeremiah, what man in their right mind would want to even pursue you? Like, you have to go home and fix that shit. Like, if she don't go home and fix that shit, she's never gonna find the right man. She's probably gonna find a man out here that just wants to use her because of the clout that she has. But she's never gonna find the right man that's gonna really take care of her and treat her the way that she wants to be treated. So that's a Huda problem. So the host then brings up her reaction to the bombshells, like her calling them bitches and all this stuff. And she says that she was scared because everybody was doubting her and Jeremiah. And she said that she was wondering what he was stating to everybody. And she was sitting there thinking, should I mark my territory when these bombshells come in? I said, no, you were just insecure and jealous. That's what it was. Why don't you be honest and state that? You were jealous and you were scared that they were going to take what you thought was yours. You saw Amaya coming in there. You was like, oh, that girl is beautiful. But you didn't want to state that. So you went in your confessionals and said, oh, well, I don't think she's better than me. I think I'm better than her. That's your insecurity speaking. Like, that's your insecurity. And she then says that she thought Amaya came into the house, watching how her and Jeremiah were close, and decided that she wanted to come in and piss her off. But y'all remember what I told y'all to remember. She claimed that she watched Love Island. She dreamed of being on Love Island. You know what a bombshell is. As the host stated, this is one of the moments where she actually kept it real. That is her job. She's a bombshell. She's supposed to come in here and shake shit up. She's supposed to come in here and get one of y'all's men. That's the point. You knew that, though. And then she sits there and tells her that. And then Huda was like, what did she say? Huda ended up saying that I had to learn that. It's new to me. No, it's not new to you because you claim that you watched the show. Liar. Like, she is such a liar. It kills me. But the host then asked if she can see how the viewers were upset about how she was going at Amaya. And, like, you were literally calling her out of her name for doing something that she was supposed to do. Like, every other bombshell that's ever been on Love Island anywhere has done the same thing. But you sitting here calling this woman all out of her name and all types of shit for doing what she's supposed to do. So, of course, Huda doesn't take accountability. She says it's just weird that it wasn't shown that apparently she had stated to Amaya, I mean, I didn't know that you were just coming in here trying to just be a bombshell. I didn't know that you didn't know that me and Jeremiah were close. Who the fuck cares? It doesn't matter if she knew that y'all were close or not. She was supposed to do that. She came on the show to do what she was supposed to do, which is to find another connection. Yes, she is also there to find another connection. Like you just stated, nobody on that show is anybody's property. So just because you're coupled up with them does not mean that she can't come in there and try and get to know that man. That's your problem. That's where it all starts. But she then says that that this was when the guys were encouraging Jeremiah to pretty much explore because none of them liked her. And I said, yeah, you claim that it wasn't fair because you didn't have a shot with any of them, but it's because they didn't like you. That's why you didn't have a shot. They didn't want to be with you. So she then states that she didn't understand why people didn't want her and Jeremiah together. That just proves you don't reflect. Like, you don't self-reflect. Why don't you sit down? Because that's the thing. Me giving her this constructive criticism and everything, I myself know I'm not perfect. There are things that I do that are not perfect. Like, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. Growing up, I've had a lot of anger issues. Even though I'm very calm on here, growing up, I was naturally defensive too. Because people used to always try me in school. I used to always fight. Because guess what? People used to always try me. I was smaller. And with being smaller in school, it just naturally comes with the territory. People think they can play with you. But the difference is, I always knew to defend myself. I never was going to let somebody play with me, but I always was naturally on high alert. I was always defensive. So that then transferred over into my own relationships as well with my own family life, which is something that I myself had to actively work towards fixing, which then required me to take a step back, look at myself, and fix those issues. Now that I'm 30 years old, I don't lash out the way I used to. Do I have moments where I get hot? Hell yeah. Will I cuss you out sometimes? Absolutely. But I don't have a short fuse that I used to have. Yes, there are things that still irritate me to this day, but I know how to control that. That comes with actually being therapeutic, actually talking to somebody, talking things out. That's stuff that Huda has to realize. Huda lacks the ability to hold herself accountable because she doesn't see anything that she does as wrong. That's that victim complex. She thinks everything that happens to her is not her fault. And that's where it always starts. And that's why she doesn't understand why people didn't want her and Jeremiah together. And it's just like, if you sit back and think about how you and Jeremiah were, you would realize why people don't want y'all together. Because y'all were not meant to be together, because y'all were toxic. And a lot of that is because of you. You were physically abusive to that man. If you take yourself out of the situation, well, not even take yourself out of the situation. Put yourself in Jeremiah's shoes and put Jeremiah in your shoes. If Jeremiah was talking to you that way, you would see the issue. You would see the issue. But Huda didn't talk. The host then kept asking her, like, why do you feel that way? And she was like, they had their own narratives. No, they didn't. They saw it for what it was. That's just really what it was. But Huda then says that everybody only talked about her and Jeremiah because you made it that way. You went around that villa for like the first 2.5, 3 weeks, ruining everybody else's experience. When I say ruining it, polluting that entire villa. I remember literally getting on here, I think it was episode 14, when you crashed all the way out. That energy you had in that villa seeped through that TV. I know I felt it at home, and I know other people felt it too. So if we felt it watching it at home, I felt uncomfortable in my own damn house watching it through the TV. How do you think they felt? Like, they were sitting there having to play therapist with your ass, which is crazy as to why they still kept you there. But they was playing therapist for you. That's why they had opinions. That's why they had stuff to say about it, because you kept bringing it to them. You kept talking and forcing that shit on them to the point where they had no choice but to do it. That's when everything started to change. That's when people started having those little side conversations about you where you claimed that, oh, well, they was talking about me and they was bullying me. No, they was sitting there talking about the shit that they finally realized, damn, this bitch is crazy. Like, something ain't right with her. This is a lie. This is too much. And then, of course, your hood rats go online trying to make them edits, trying to make it seem like they was bullying you and being fake with you. No, they sitting here talking about it because they know you're going to crash out. They're trying to figure out how they could possibly navigate the situation with you without you lashing out on them. It got to the point where it looked like you might end up swinging on somebody, being a liability. Let a black man or a black woman, emphasis on black woman, let a black woman act the way that you acted on that show. I guarantee you, all the support that you have would not be given to them. Would not be given to them. Let a black man do that. Would not be given to them. That's the difference. You know your privilege, though. You know your privilege, which is why you do it. Your fans know your privilege, which is why they do what they do. Which is why I get on here every day and do what I do, unapologetically. I'm going to always clock it. I'm going to always hold you accountable because somebody got to do it. And your fans ain't going to do it. So I'm going to do it. We then move to Ace. Ace is the topic of conversation about his fixation with Jeremiah and Huda's relationship. The host ends up asking Huda if there was any sexual tension between her and Ace. She says yes. At one point, she did like him, found him attractive, thought he was cute, and didn't kiss him for no reason. Which, as we all know, at one point, if you thought that, you probably still thought that all the way through, which is why you did what you did in that damn challenge. But we'll get to that. But she then states that the host then brings up him liking the Instagram pictures and whatever. And Huda's sitting there smiling and laughing. Talking about something. I heard that he unliked some of them. You can tell she enjoys the thought of Ace liking her pictures. Why, you ask? Do I think she likes Ace? Yes. But do I think a lot of the reason as to why she gets so much enjoyment out of hearing this stuff is because she's jealous of Shelly. Everything Shelly has, she wants. Which I'm going to state it. The people that are going to be upset because, oh, you're always bringing up race. I only bring it up whenever it's meant to be brought up. Because guess what? It's the truth. She don't like, you can tell Huda don't like, and she always in her own mind is in competition with black women. Especially dark-skinned black women. She don't like seeing Shelly have what she wanted. We're going to get to it in a minute. But Shelly did nothing. When I tell you did nothing, and when I state did nothing, Shelly just existed. Shout out to Jessie Woo. Jessie Woo stated it the best way you could. Shelly existed in that villa. And when I say existed, she just sat around and breathed. And guess what? Men were gawking at her. Austin, even though I don't believe that he truly liked her, but he still was pursuing her to a certain degree. He wanted her and Ace wanted her the first, 2 weeks. Then it got to the point where it was Ace and Chris. Shelly never had a moment in that house where she did not have a man that was actually wanting her. Huda only had that when it came to Jeremiah, but we're gonna get to it. I'm kind of jumping the gun, but we're gonna get to it. My whole point in stating that is she was jealous. She was jealous of Shelly, and that's why she did and moved the way she did. Like especially the latter half of the season. But we then moved to Jeremiah and the intimacy. So she then states that they did not full on have sex, but she surely made it out to seem like that. Like it's like she's downplaying the sexual acts that they had. But she then claims that she learned not to get intimate so fast because when guys get what they want, it changes their character. I said, nah. I said, you just made it easy for them to be able to run. Like you made it easy for them to get to home base. And at that point, they have nothing more to work towards. And whose fault is that? That's your fault. That is your fault. But the host then asks, like, what was the shift? And she ends up stating that when she would ask him to do nice things, which was after you had sex with him. That is what she wants him to do all these nice things. And she said after when she asked him to do nice things for her that the other guys were doing for their girls, that was when she saw the shift. And like I say, I always stated, you fucked up when you literally opened your legs to that man before he even did any of that. Like, you have to make that man pursue you. And you didn't allow that to happen because you were so obsessed with him. Like I always say, it will never work when the woman is more obsessed with the man than the man is her. She was more obsessed with Jeremiah than he was her. Which is why, in the end, she was the one that was more so hurt. Jeremiah wasn't really hurt. Jeremiah knew that he needed to get up out of there, and he did. Huda did not realize that. Huda was so obsessed with Jeremiah to the point where it literally was her own downfall. But she made, like, you can't ask him to then start doing stuff for you after you've literally let him get to home base. You let him in the cookie jar. So that's your own fault. But she then says that she's not doing wife shit to a man who doesn't deserve it. And I'm like, so why do you deserve hubby treatment? No woman talking to me like that is going to get hubby treatment from me. You're not going to get boyfriend treatment from me. You're not going to, period. Like, you're not even going to get friend treatment from me. But she then states that she would express what she wanted him to do for her. He agreed to do it and then never did it. And it would frustrate her. Like I always stated, if he really wanted to do it, he would have done it. Like, you were so desperate and wanted to be a pick-me, trying to force a man to do some shit that he didn't want to do. That's your own fault. You should have left. When you saw that he didn't want to do that, when you saw that the other women were getting that treatment from their men, that should have told you, hey, he probably don't see it for me like that. And you would have self-reflected and realized, oh, wait, I didn't do anything to allow him to pursue me. Because I literally sat here and was on his dick all day long. Unlike the rest of these other women. Like, that's the difference. But, where am I at? Hold on. And it's just funny because it's like if she would have moved the way Shelly moved in the house, it might have been a different story. But she then claims that she has a hard time asking for things, which is bullshit, as we all know, because it's like you were sitting here asking people to do shit for you. And if you had a hard time asking people, because she says she has a hard time asking people to do things for her and it makes her uncomfortable and she was stepping out of her comfort zone. But being uncomfortable and stepping out of your comfort zone, it's harder for you to do that. So you're not going to do it as often. You were constantly asking things of Jeremiah. You were constantly asking things of Chris, which if it's stepping out of your comfort zone, it's not going to be so easy for you to do it. Like we can say with Alandria when it comes to like physicality and like flirting, you can tell that's not something that she naturally does. It's not something that she's super comfortable doing, which we saw with Nick. It had to progress over time. That's stepping out of your comfort zone, actively stepping out of your comfort zone. But the host then asked like if she reciprocates the standards that she wants from her partners, and she claims that whenever they show her that they give a fuck through action, she would do it. And she claims that she loves uplifting and motivating her partners and whoever she's with. I don't believe that, but okay. But the host then asked what she thinks about the first crack, or what she thinks the first crack in her and Jeremiah's relationship was. And the host then says, once y'all got intimate is when I thought it did, which is true. And she says, you then decided that you wanted to start asking him to do things. And I was like, exactly, that's the fact. But we then moved to Jeremiah pretty much telling Iris about them having a rough patch, but he was still on her. And the host ends up asking, like, why did that make you uncomfortable? And she was like, I don't like when people, I just don't like when people tell my business to some people that I don't know. And I'm like, but you literally ran and told anybody that would listen your issues with Jeremiah. But you have an issue with Jeremiah talking about your issues with somebody else. But you can do it. Like, hypocrite. But the host then asks her about her feelings and tells her, like, your feelings were valid, but the way that you reacted, which is what I literally stated. Moments when she had valid valid feelings, I didn't care because the way you acted. When you act the way that you do, I don't care about your feelings. Because if you acted like a normal human being and stopped treating people disrespectfully, then people can actually empathize with you. I don't empathize with people that treat people like that. I don't care if your feelings are valid. But she then avoids accountability as always. She's stating that there are reasons as to why she acts the way that she does. Never taking accountability. Never stating, yes, I was completely wrong and that was it. It's always a but. It's always a this, and this. But she then says we all crash out. When somebody mentions her crashing out, she thinks, I know you were crashing out in your room over Jacoby. I'm like, first of all, who is Jacoby? But I say a key word, alone. She said you were crashing out alone in your room. Alone. You were crashing out, consistently verbally abusing anybody that you had issues with. Like, you don't do that stuff as a grown woman. You have a child. You're a mom. You want your child watching you on TV acting like this in situations? Like, that's not an example that you should be trying to set for your child. She was like, everybody has crash out moments. Mine were just caught on TV, and that makes it okay? Like, the way she said that was like, oh, well, I mean, everybody else is doing it, but mine just happened to be on TV, so that's why it's an issue. That's not okay. But the host didn't ask, like, why the communication just wasn't there. She claims that she was scared that things were just not going to work. And I said, that proves that you're not as emotionally mature as you claim that you were. Because if you see those signs that it's not going to work and it's not healthy, the communication's not there, you move on. Anybody with a brain would move on. But of course you don't. But they then started talking about America splitting them up. She states that when it happened, she was confused. She thought America hated her. She started having all these panic attacks off camera, talking about how she felt like she had failed her daughter and started the victim noises. And if you don't know what I mean by victim noises, the tears. But she then started stating that Pepe didn't want her because Jeremiah and her were so locked in and Jalen wasn't her type. Neither one of them wanted you. I don't know how hard and why it's so hard for you to understand that not everybody in that villa wanted you. It had nothing to do with Jeremiah and you being locked in. These men didn't want you because they saw how you acted. It's like, it's so hard for Huda to realize or grasp that not every man wants you. Not every man is going to want you. It's like she feels like every dude in that house wanted her, but Jeremiah was cock blocking her. It's not the truth. It's not the truth. But the host then brings up, and then she tries to make it seem like it's Jeremiah's fault as to why they don't want her. No. The way you act is the way people, that's why people don't want you. Yes, you are a pretty girl. Nobody's taking that away from you. The physicality, that alone makes somebody probably want to approach you. But once they start seeing who you are here and how you act, nobody's going to want to put up with that. They got front row seats of how you act as a person every single day. So it's not one instance where they're saying, oh, well, she's crashing out. Or, oh, she's clingy. Oh, she's overprotective. Oh, she's possessive. That's not just one day. You did that shit every single fucking day. That's why they didn't care to get to know you. But the host then brings up her being hysterical in the makeup room about Iris. She claims that she was in there for Jeremiah for 24/7, pretty much stating that she was always checking up on him and he didn't do it for her. And I'm like, again, you couldn't allow him to basically have a moment to himself. It's always about Huda when it comes to her. Like, she acts like Jeremiah has to always be there for her, always have to be there for her. And it's just like, sometimes let that man deal with his own mental himself. Like, allow him to deal with himself first. Sometimes y'all don't always need to be up under each other. And that's her thing. She says she wants a man that's always obsessed and always up under her. Sometimes you don't need that. You don't need that all the time. But she then talks about how she would do things to see if Jeremiah would make an effort because she likes him. Again, that's that pick me shit. Because if you have to do things to then see if he's going to do something, that tells you he don't want you. Because any man that wants a woman is going to do those things by himself. Like, literally. My cousin just got married. Her husband, from the day they started dating, he was buying her gifts. He was courting her. They're now married and he still does that shit without her even having to ask. That is a man that actually wants that woman. A man is not, if you gotta pry that out of a man, he don't want you. Wake up, Huda. That's really what it is. And then she tries to make it seem like it's Jeremiah's fault. It's not his fault. It is not his fault. Yes, it could be like, oh, well, he's still in a relationship with her. He's still dealing with her. But at some point, you gotta wake up and see the signs yourself. Because if you continue to allow yourself to sit in here and see that type of shit and continue to overlook it, that's your fault. You're the problem now. You're the problem now. Because if you can actively see that to where you then have to try and find motives to make him do what you want him to do, you have the ability to move yourself and remove yourself from that situation, but you don't want to do it, which is why you're toxic. But we then talk about her crashing out. The host ends up asking, like, were you aware of how unhealthy it had become? And she was like, she was. But the host then asks and starts talking about how she called him a pussy ass bitch and pretty much asked her, like, what pushed you over the edge for using profanity? Like I stated earlier, she used profanity. No, it's called verbal abuse. That's what that was. But she then states that she felt like everything was aligning for Jeremiah and everything was fucked up for her. Ridiculous. But she then says that she should have never been checking up on him, and she said that everybody was talking about how she was wrong for calling him a punk ass bitch, and she's sitting there thinking, be for real, be for real. I said, nah, if he would have called you a hoe ass trick, then what? Would you have that same be for real, be for real? So if he called you out your name, would you be stating, oh, be for real? Like, it's not that serious. We know you would have an issue with that. So keep that same energy. But she then starts laughing it off with the host. The host is too. This is where I was like, she ain't shit either. I ain't never watched this Call Me Daddy shit. But she's a loser too. But they then start talking about how they talk to men, like how they be talking and calling men punk ass bitches to their friends. But the thing is, you're talking to your friends. You're not talking to that man. You can do that shit behind closed doors and talk that shit to your friends. But when you start addressing that man and calling that man out of his name to his face, you're absolutely wrong. Come on. But the host tries to downplay the crash outs because she didn't punch holes through a wall. She's like, we've seen men punching holes through walls on TVs and stuff. Sitting here trying to enable her, like sitting here trying to act like what she did was not wrong. Like it's crazy. Like this was counterproductive on the host end. But she then asked if Jeremiah has taken if she feels like Jeremiah has taken accountability, and Huda was like, not that I've seen, but you haven't watched anything. That's the whole point. You've only seen clips. That's the whole point. PR, she ain't got no PR because clearly they should have made her stay at home, watch everything, and if she was gonna lie, get your lies together. Like, she had none of her lies together at all. But she swears that she was love bombed yet again. We already talked about it. We then move to Chris. She claims that when she first saw Chris in Casa Amor, he would laugh at everything that she would state. She says that she has that sense of humor, and she says it means a lot to her that people pretty much appreciate her sense of humor, and she feels like Chris did. She's not funny. She claims that she's goofy. We never saw it. Like, we never saw it. But she then claims that nobody gave a shit about what she was talking about in the villa. So whenever she got over to Casa Amor and the boys were sitting there listening to what she had to say, it was refreshing because you were trying to act like a different person in Casa Amor. You weren't super overbearing. You weren't super aggressive. You weren't Casa Amor was probably your best moment on the show because you weren't doing too much. You weren't rude to people. You were just sitting there trying to be calm. Of course, people are going to want to gravitate towards calm. But me, if I was a Casa Amor boy, knowing that what you did before you got to Casa Amor, even if you was acting calm, I still wouldn't approach you because I would have already saw what you did. But we know that men were trying to get in that villa. That's really what it was. But she then claims that the host ends up talking about how she asked her if she knew that Shelly was still interested in Chris. And she was like, yes, I knew she was. Keep in mind, she said that. She then claims that she wanted to get to know Chris. And she claimed that she was learning from her mistakes, which is why she wanted to get to know Chris instead of doing what she did with Jeremiah. Like I told y'all, the day that it happened, that was when I knew she did not really like Chris. Like, we saw how Huda acts when she really likes somebody. She didn't like Chris, but she tries to act like she did. But she was trying to take the right way. But no. But the host then asked her if she brought Chris back for her, for Shelly, or for both of them. She says for both of them. Keep that in mind. She said for both of them. So when he wants to pursue Shelly as well, don't get mad. But we'll get to it. But she then claims that she did it to not be territorial. Yet when Chris came back in and still wanted to pursue Shelly, honestly, which means if he's giving her flowers and not giving you flowers, that means that he wants her more than he wants you. So don't get mad when he does it. You claim that you didn't want to be territorial. But she then claims that she felt like she had nobody. Yet you said that Shelly was there for you, which we saw she was. You had cried like somebody had died when Alandria left, which means you really had a true affiliation and a true connection with her, which means she was somebody that you appreciated. So that was somebody there for you. And then you stated that Maya was your best friend in the house. Yet you had nobody. Okay, Huda, victim. But the host then brings up how she balances friendship while pursuing love with the girls girl shit. She was like, everybody was pretty much telling me you can't take shit seriously because nobody owns anybody in that house. And she claims that she got shitted on for doing exactly what they told her to not. Telling her, y'all know what I'm trying to say. It's late, y'all. It's 11 o'clock. But she claims that, but I'm like, that's not the point. You pumped this girls girl shit. You was the main one pumping it at the beginning of the season. Then when these bombshells came in and were doing what you're now doing, you had an issue with it. But now that you have nobody and you are in their position where they had nobody, they had to come in here and make connections. Now you don't see the issue. Now you're stating that it's their issue. No, Shelly had an issue with what you did because you pumped that girls girl shit. So if you don't like that shit being done to you, don't do it to them. It's that simple. It's that simple. But the host then brings that up. We then move to her sitting on Ace's face. So she then claims that she just licked the guys from the tip of their DIC on up to the top, which we know that's a lie. We saw what you did, Huda. You did more than that. But the host then brings up how she essentially went into reverse cowgirl and had her ass near his face, which they then cut because basically we knew what happened. Pretty much leading everybody to believe that you sat on his face, which we know that's what happened. She immediately starts looking at her funny and then starts laughing. And you're laughing because you know what you did. And that laugh is pretty indicative of you not feeling bad for doing what you did. But she then claims that that's not what happened. Yet Taylor, Clark, Chris, Iris, Pepe have all stated that that's basically what you did. They all stated you went too far. They all stated that you essentially sat on that nigga's face. Like, we all know you did. That's why they didn't show it. They can't show that. But they can't show that on TV. We know what you did. That's why they cut it. We all watch reality TV. We know what a cut and an edit is. And that's literally what that was. They was doing that because this is a PG-13 type of show. It's not rated R. They're not going to show you sitting on that man's face and literally grinding. But Huda was stating that that's too far. She stated that's too far. I don't know what I wrote, y'all. I don't know what I wrote. Yeah, she said that was too far. If she sat on his face, that was too far. Which, I mean, it was. And then she said, she tries to state that her butt was on his stomach area. And she was just twerking for 2 seconds. Lies. We literally saw you bouncing your ass on his meat. Repeatedly. Bounce. 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 You wasn't on his stomach. You was on his dick. Like, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Then you turned around and got on his face. I wouldn't be shocked if you tried to hit the 69 position. Let's keep it all the way for real. Look at me messing up my damn shit. Hold on. But the host asked her if she did it, and she sworn up and down that she didn't do it, but she's sitting down here looking down at she's looking at the couch. I did not do it. Body language speaks. Body language matters. But we then move to Chris and their issues. She states that the host states that he felt that she was touching privately, but not publicly. So, like, being super handsy and being physical, as we all know, only under the sheets, but not doing it in public. Huda claims that she sees being under the covers as private and doing it in separate rooms as private. Excuse me. For the ones that will get in the comments and say that I have burping issues, I just drank this water because I've been talking for 50 minutes straight. That's why I might burp. But, like I said, being under the covers in a room full of 12 people is not private, Huda. It's not. Being in a private room, a separate room by yourself, just the two of you, that is private. Like, I don't understand what's so hard for her to grasp. But she then states that everybody had an opinion when her and Jeremiah were public and being super PDA. So she didn't want to do that with Chris. I said, shut up. Because you know that's not why everybody had an issue with you and Jeremiah. They had no issue with y'all kissing in public. They had an issue with the toxicity in y'all's relationship. That's what it was. But she then states that the host then says she couldn't understand why Chris kept lingering on the issue with him, the PDA stuff, and couldn't get over it. What do you mean you don't understand that? Because Chris is valid in that. If you want to fuck me all the time and be up under the bed, like be in the bed and only doing that when we're in there, but you don't want to give me a simple kiss, a peck in public, that is an issue because it makes it look like you are either embarrassed of me, ashamed of me. Like, put yourself, like what Amaya stated in one of them episodes, put yourself in his shoes. If Chris was doing that to Huda, y'all would be calling him all types of names. All types of names. It's crazy. But Huda then states that there were things that he was doing that weren't shown that played into her not wanting to kiss him. And the host asked her to explain what it was, and she ends up stating that he had a wandering eye, looking at other girls, talking to other girls in front of him. I said, those other girls was who? Shelly. State the name. We know you're obsessed with her. State the name. We know. We know who you're talking about. That's why you're mad. That's why you were jealous. Like, you are envious of Shelly. Envious. That's why I told y'all, that's why I stated a while ago that I'm off of Ariana Madix, because her stupid ass got in one of her interviews trying to insinuate that Shelly would even be jealous of Huda when you know damn well it's the opposite. You know it's the opposite. What would Shelly have to be jealous of Huda for? Please tell me. Please tell me. I'm all for people doing what they got to do when it comes to plastic surgery and stuff. Shelly is natural. Huda is not. If Huda truly loved herself, she wouldn't be doing all that. Shelly don't have to do that. Shelly loves who Shelly is. That's why Shelly don't do what Huda does. Shelly didn't have to open her legs to get a man to commit to her. Shelly did and moved with grace, with class. And you see how she's not single. And that's why Huda's jealous. Because Huda can't, she wants to be Shelly. She wants what Shelly has. She wants to move like Shelly does, and she just can't do it. She just can't do it, but she wants it. That's why she's jealous. That's why she's envious. That's why she moves the way she does. Because she wants to essentially hurt Shelly because she can't do what Shelly does. But she then mentions the nicknames that he would have for girls, which we all know the nicknames that he had for Shelly. She's talking about Shelly. And she then talks about him telling her to shut up and to not talk to her that way. I said, yes, he shouldn't have told you to shut up. But just like how you have an issue with him telling you to shut up, you should have an issue with you calling Jeremiah, Amaya, Iris, Sierra. Who else am I missing? Everybody that you've called outside of their name, you should have an issue with that too. Just how you have an issue with him telling you to shut up, keep that same energy with your own self. But she then states that she would get cute. He wouldn't even acknowledge it. But he would be having a conversation with Shelly. She actually mentioned Shelly this time. I said, because he does not want your pick-me ass. That's why. That's why. You knew he wanted Shelly all along. But she then states that she's not trying to, she's not about to start trying to get his attention at this point. That's why she did what she did. But the host then states that Chris randomly told everybody that they had sex, which y'all tell me if I'm wrong. I only remember him telling Brian and Ace that he had sex with, what's that girl's name? Huda. So is that everybody? But Huda then states that he was boasting about it when he barely put the tip in. And I'm like, yet you was sitting here tweaking about it. You was tweaking about it. You caught 2 bodies and left with no man. Like, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. And I'm not slut shaming her, but it's just crazy to me. But they start talking about the pillow fight. She got a nose job 2 months ago. She claimed that he picked the hardest pillow and threw it at her face. Dangerous. You know what you're doing with a black man. I highly doubt he said, let me go get this pillow, the hardest one, so I can boom hit her in the face with it. That's a man. Y'all are in there playing a pillow fight game. He's got strength. He's an athlete. Yes, he's gonna throw something. When he throws it, it's probably gonna hit a lot harder than maybe a girl throwing it at you, because there's force behind it. Like, come on, there's strength behind it. Am I stating he's right for hitting her in the face? No. But I mean, if y'all playing the game, what do you think is going to happen? If y'all all throwing pillows at each other, what do you think is going to happen? Like, you could tell she does certain things when it comes to certain people and exit up. And I'm going to state it. It's the black people. You see how she starts bringing out those tears when it comes to Shelly and Alandria, but she didn't bring out those tears when it came to Hannah confronting her. When it came to Iris, she didn't bring out those tears, but she only brought it out with the black women. It's just wild. It's wild. I see what she's doing. Like, we all see what she's doing. But then they move to her coercing Chris into sexual favors. This is when I really got mad. This right here pissed me off. She claims that he wasn't asleep and purposely rolled over. Whether he was asleep, not asleep, if he didn't consent to wanting to do that stuff, you should have left him alone. Because let the roles have reversed. Him as a black man trying to sexually coerce you into doing things, into sexual acts that you didn't want to partake in. The way this man would have been raked over the coals, which is why I don't have an issue with people trying to make sure that she doesn't get sponsorships. Because had this have been him, man, it would be right. I mean, if he did this stuff, him getting that public scrutiny would be warranted. Which is why it blows me how she got so much fan support. Because what she did is out of line. Out of line. But because she is who she is, nobody's going to talk about it. Nobody's going to talk about it. Some people who are talking about it, big respects to y'all. But that's what it was. But she starts talking about how she was playing with his lips, talking about brother. And she kept saying brother, which y'all know she really wanted to say nigga. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Brother, I know you're awake. Like, creepy. But she then states that she pretty much gave him the ultimatum because she had asked so many times. So you're consistently asking a man for sex when he does not want it. That is called sexual harassment. That is harassment. Let that have been a man doing that to her. It's just funny how the double standards work. Because, like, nobody has that. The difference in energy when it comes to a black man in this situation and her, a white presenting woman. I know she's Persian, but she is white presenting. Let's keep it real. Like, people want to say, oh, you can't talk about race. We're going to talk about it because let's keep it real. If roles reversed, it'd be a whole different situation right now. A whole different one. But they're sitting there laughing about it, which is what really pissed me off because it's just the double standards. Like what I just stated, if the roles reversed, it'd be a whole different situation. But they're talking about her counting down. And like I said, they're laughing about it. It's just disgusting to watch. Disgusting. And she ends up saying that it's so irritating because every single night she was trying to do it. And she was trying her best not to crash out. So you're crashing out because he does not want to have sex with you. Dangerous. But they then finish talking about her childhood and how it explains her actions. Yes, it does, but it doesn't make it right. It's like the host was sitting there trying to excuse how she acted because of what she's experienced in life. She is 24 years old. She's a grown woman. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for how she acts. But the host then blows smoke up her ass, talking about how she's not the villain that the internet makes her out to be. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Because she knows what she's doing. Still to this day, perpetuating stereotypes when it comes to these black women. Reposting stuff, trying to act like she's not here for the hate and stuff. But I saw that she reposted something on TikTok of her bouncing her ass up on Ace. As we all know, she's so obsessed with Shelly. That's why she did it. But she claims that Sierra's the fakest one in the villa. That's it. I finally got through it, y'all. I got a lot of thoughts. Make sure y'all thumbs up the video. I'm going to drop this at 12 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday, July 19th. Y'all will see it tomorrow. Yeah. I only did this for y'all. I didn't want to do it, but I did it for y'all because y'all wanted me to really talk about it, even though I had some thoughts. But yeah, I had to get this out. But y'all thumbs up the video. Drop a comment. Share the video. Subscribe if you're new. And I will see y'all. If Beyond the Villa is good on Thursday, I'll see y'all then. But if not, y'all will see me on the page. Big brother, I'm dropping those. What else I got? I got content. Y'all gonna see me. And then we got the Love Island reunion in August. So y'all gonna see me there for that. Which I hope they hold her ass accountable. But yeah, I'll see y'all then. Peace.